Hi, everybody. This is Ken Wilson. Once upon a time, I broadcast blues hockey. I always listen to Let's Go Blues Radio. It's everything you'll want as a blues fan. Oh, baby.
Are you a first responder, a veteran, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, or a Let's Go Blues Radio listener? Of course you are. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call real estate superstar Mike Burgoyne today at 314-753-4060 or email him at mike@strikewithmike.com to earn special rates today.
60 Pickleball is an industry leader in high-end pickleball paddles. Use discount code CPRICE10 to get 10% off at 60pickleball.com. Don't get stuck on the court with an inferior paddle. Go next level with 60.
Have you subscribed to the LGB Minute podcast yet? It's a 5-minute weekly St. Louis Blues podcast hosted by Jeff Ponder that is released multiple times a week to fill the gap between Let's Go Blues Radio episodes. Subscribe today.
Get ready to hear some noise tonight. You're just seconds away from Let's Go Blues Radio.
The Blues score! Oh, baby! The Blues score! McKinnon shoots and scores! 1-0 ahead to Hull. He's got a breakaway. Safety shoots. He scores! Oh, baby, do you believe it? Scores in a drive. He's baby! Chris Pronger! Wow, what great goaltending! They score! Joe Murphy! The Twister! Jacob hits the hill. Sellout crowd. Oh, baby!
Let's show this prehistoric bitch how we do things downtown.
Welcome to episode 33 of season 14. This is episode number 514, all time of the often imitated, never duplicated, the real New Avengers. We're the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Check out the Let's Go Blues. I should get rid of this. Let's Go Blues Minute is obviously not running during the off season, not enough to talk about. But I do plan to be back next season, so make sure you go ahead and subscribe now. And I don't know, maybe over the summer I'll put some stuff together, but probably not. It's Wednesday, May 14th, and we are streaming live to the masses. Make sure to follow us on socials at LGB Radio and like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. I'm your host, Jeff Ponder, and I'm joined by the Emperor of Goalies, Bill Day. The Goblin of Troy, Illinois, Kurt Price, is unfortunately facing allegations, but we're hoping he will be out of those allegations before the end of the show. The agenda for tonight includes the season review of the St. Louis Blues, looking forward to the offseason, injury updates, and more on this P. Diddy-loving episode of Let's Go Blues Radio. Kurt requested I put that in, so I just want to point that out. Bill.
Thus the allegations.
We're about a week and a half removed from the epic collapse by the Blues in Game 7. How are you feeling? Have you been enjoying round 2 at all?
I'm watching 20, 30 minutes a night. I'm not digesting full games. I haven't switched back on. Might not switch back on until the conference finals. But yeah, the Blues collapse. I have struggled to even put it in those terms until now. Still there's a silver lining to this thing. They're going to be better about it next year. But then tonight, I finally got around, as we're preparing for the show, to watch the season end pressers, and I really didn't like Braden Shen's answers to the questions about that. I know it's still when he did that, it was still very fresh, but it seemed like a guy that won a Stanley Cup would have some better answers there. So
yeah. We'll get into the post presser here in a little bit, but yeah, and for me, I guess I should address this now because I'm getting a lot of comments here. All right, what bet did Ponder lose? Can't believe Jeff sold his soul. Yes, I actually my hair was dyed the last 2 shows, just not very dark. And so I decided to do it again and really give it a shot. Let me show you. Let's see if I can if this will even work. Try to show you a picture. So I actually had to bleach my head in order to fully go blonde. I did this when I was in college or in high school. My mom like frosted my tips because that's what we all did in the early 2000s. But I've never had to do it myself. So it was an odd situation. I didn't even realize like, oh, in order to get this red streaks out of your hair, you need to bleach first. So I'll see if you can. Yeah, you can see that. That's what it looked like.
So the bet you lost was with Guy Fieri.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so I did have it just bleached when my wife came home one day, and I literally poked my head around the corner and just go, hey, and she looks at me and goes, oh my God, what the fuck? What is wrong with you? And I mentioned the Thunderbolts at the top of the show here. We were going to go see Thunderbolts that night. I already bought tickets, and she goes, we are not going to that show unless you dye your hair. She's like, I will not go out with you in public. And I'm like, okay. So I had to like run up to the store, get more dye, and dyed it blonde, which, I think it's odd. It's not my favorite look I've ever had, but I wanted to try something different. So
you're in your Pete Davidson phase 2.
I don't have the dong to say that.
Okay.
And what I keep telling people, and literally this is the reason that I did this. I did dye my hair ironically, and I think I might have said this on the show already. I've been getting asked by people, what are you going to do for your midlife crisis when you turn 40? And I said, I'm going to dye my hair and get a convertible. So now I just got to go get the convertible. So we'll do that next. Anyway, so for me, for the Blues, a lot of people are like, oh, we should be happy they made it that far, which I am. And like, they weren't even supposed to be there. Yes, I agree with all that. But I think in saying all that, it's still okay to be a little pissed off, to be like, you had it in the bag. 2-goal lead. And I know we talked about this last week, but 2-goal lead that late, there's no excuse. I don't care if you're playing an all-star team that consists of the greatest players of all time. You have a 2-goal lead with 2 minutes left. You're an NHL team. You should be able to hold on to that lead. So, and especially in a game 7. So that's my point. I'm not like, I don't want to say like I'm mad at this team, hate this team, need to fire everyone, nothing like that. This is just, you better improve on this next year. The 6-on-5 shit was so bad all year long, and it literally cost you the season. So for me, this is the biggest learning curve for the coaching and for the players.
Right. And that's the only thing that, the solace that I've taken on this whole thing is that they are in the right spot in the whatever, as Doug Armstrong is now calling it, for this kind of collapse to happen. Right. You learn from it. And this is the point in your trajectory where that's acceptable, but it still fucking hurts. Right. Yeah. That like we were, I popped into one of my favorite places a couple days, a week and a half actually, after the last game, and they were still talking like, oh man, it's just a funeral. I'm like, well, thank God I do a podcast because we were able to do the funeral right away.
Yeah,
kind of exercise a lot of those feelings, but it hasn't gone away. Right?
No,
it's now at the point where we are. Like it's kind of just setting back in as depression.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this will feel better once the playoffs are over and we're into the off season, and like maybe there's talks of Armstrong possibly making a splash in free agency. So like maybe that's when it starts to feel a little better. But yeah, right now, and I asked you at the top, you watching second round. I'll be honest with you, Bill. This is the longest I've gone in the middle of especially in the middle of a playoff, but in the middle of a season where I have not watched a full. I haven't watched any. I've literally watched highlights. That's it. Like I'll jump on NHL Network late at night and I'll just be like, let's see what happened tonight. I can't. I just have not been able to make myself sit down and watch a game. Like, and I will say, I listen to the Riz Show in the mornings for St. Louis. St. Louisans probably know what that is, but if you're from out of town, it's I think it's rated the #1 show in the morning in St. Louis. And they were, I think it was Moon on there said today that because Chris Kerber was actually in studio, and he told Kerber that he feels like he needs a round off. And he's like, I just need to take a round off. Like once Kerber was like, oh, but you're missing good hockey. And he's like, I know that, but I was too invested. I need a round off. And I thought that's probably where I'm at. I think maybe I just need to not watch the whole second round. And by the third round, I'll be back in it a little bit.
Yeah. And, I think I'm kind of in the same boat as Trees. Maybe I'll feel better when the Stars finish taking Jets behind the woodshed, right? That is, when we did the the postmortem show, I said I expected that Dallas was going to sweep them and take the hammer to them. I'm off by one game. Connor Hellebuck had one really good game, but then he was playoff Hellebuck since then.
Yep.
I mean, Mikko Rantanen owns the playoffs. He's got to get injured for the Stars not to win the whole thing. I think he is on such a different level than every other player in the NHL right now. Right, it's going to take Matthew Tkachuk breaking his knees in Game 1 of the final for Dallas to get derailed. But I am enjoying that. I am going back and watching those. I watched until Granlund got the hat trick, and I'm like, okay, game over. Turn it off. Walked away. But yeah.
Injure Rantanen, you say? Well, this just in: the Winnipeg Jets have signed Nick Kypreos. Fuck that guy.
Rantanen's not a goalie though, right?
That's true. That's a good point. All right, yeah, they'll need to figure out something else. Who is the guy? Marty McSorley. Marty McSorley, right? Took the stick, put the stick to the head of Donald Brashear.
Yeah, clubbed him.
Yeah, there you go.
Like he was taking a wife as a caveman.
This Marty go back to cave. All right. Well, we'll get into some more sulking here in a little bit. Official Beers, episode number 514. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. I am at jponder94. Kurt is at cprice12. Bill is at Billy Blue Note 33. You know what? We'll just continue since this is technically the season wrap-up show with the way we've been going. I am drinking one we've never had on the show before, and I'd never seen this before. I went to Friar Tuck over the weekend. The Cacao, I'm sorry, I'm not saying that right. It's the Cacao Lager from Iron Hops Brewing. Nice can art there. So clearly this is homage to the Battlehawks here in St. Louis. Pretty good. I mean, it's your typical lager. It's nothing super special, but if you want a beer you can chug, this would be it. This is, it's better than your Budweiser products, but I put it on par with like any other generic lager out there, to be quite honest. It's not bad, but I will say the can art is hang on. The can art is very cool. I do like that. So that was what caught my eye.
The can art is catchy, but dime a dozen lager for a franchise that I will never give a shit about. I don't think I'll try that one, but that's just me in my anti not top tier football. I don't like football all that much. So St. Louis having a second tier team doesn't get me all that excited. So anyway,
God damn it, City, man. They had a 2-0 lead late and they ended up tying. Unbelievable. Only City, man.
Yeah, that's the other team. Like I watched some of the game this weekend, and I was like, this is just I can't watch this shit.
They're hard to watch. Like,
It's
for me, I can, unless the Cardinals are getting absolutely shit stomped, like I can sit and watch a baseball game even if they're losing, because it's still exciting to me. Like, any swing of the bat could change the momentum of the game. But soccer, when you're getting you can't win a damn game, it's just not exciting for me, and it's getting really hard to watch.
Yeah, I'm used to watching, top tier Premier League soccer, and turn that shit on, and it's guys that are failing out of the Bundesliga, and not having a great season. Like, it's the roster moves that City's made since the beginning. Like, they had such a good mix of players the first season, and then it's like, you know what, we'll let Jacquini walk. We don't need him. We'll find somebody else. And then, last year I thought Basilev was, a better playmaker than Leuven. And, we'll let him walk too. And, now it's like they have nobody in the midfield that can do anything. And the forward, like, Klaus can't figure anything out at this point.
No. The fact that guy's still playing at all is like, what are we even doing? Like,
right.
They're like, and the announcers always talk about how he's a pure goal scorer. And I'm like, he scored 15 goals in like 65 games?
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's been painful to watch. So, yeah, this may be the last season of our little group that we do for MLS package. No, I mean, look, I think long term they're just there was nowhere to go but down after that first season. So,
but they went way down.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while. I think with how bad they're doing, and like you said, giving up a 2-goal lead after the 75th minute to draw against cross-state rivals, I don't know that Olaf Melberg's gonna make it through this season.
He might not.
And that's that. Like, you can't keep churning coaches. That's just not.
All right.
You got to churn the players.
We got more comments about my hair. Yes, I'll just say one more time: midlife crisis. All right, that's all you need to know. Midlife crisis. Bill, what are you drinking tonight?
So I'm going with my snobby beer shit again. Boulevard. So this is why City didn't win. I drink a Kansas City beer. Boulevard's Espresso Martini Stout. I have been trying to be a good boy and not go into the liquor stores, but I went into Total Wine a couple weeks ago and walked out with $100 worth of beer, and yeah, that was awesome. I loved that trip, and I found my summer beer, and yeah, it's doesn't qualify. If we go back to the discussion before about what's Bill Day's favorite cheap beer, I don't have one, and I'm not gonna get one. I have a good summer lager, the Founders On Cloud Lime. Really good lime lager.
This is my second beer tonight, and the Schlafly Summer Lager is fantastic.
Yeah, so I'll grab that when we hit commercial, which we should be coming up on.
Yes, real quick, let's mention there are 4 Blues that are playing in the 2025 IIHF World Championships. Captain Braden Shannon, goaltender Jordan Binnington are currently representing Canada. Forwards Alexander Texier and Dalibor Dvorsky are representing France and Slovakia, respectively. I got to tell you, Bill, even when the Blues weren't making the playoffs, I never pay attention to this. Like, if I'm sitting here working and I'll be like, oh, I wonder what's on NHL Network, and they got one of the World Championship games on, it's like, oh, okay, I'll watch it. Like, I'll turn it on in the background. But I know this is a much bigger deal outside of the U.S. and even Canada to a certain extent. But with it at the same exact time as the NHL playoffs, there's only so much hockey I can consume. Like I try and keep up with the World Junior Championships in December and January, but like that becomes difficult with the NHL regular season. So this is like, dude, playoffs, this consumes me, even though right now, yes, I know I'm taking a slight hockey break. Like, it's consuming to me. So it's like, there's not another hockey bone in my body to where I could be watching the World Championship. So I don't know if you pay attention to this at all. For me, I just wait for it to end, and then I check the injury report. That's all I care about.
Yeah, no, I only ever get the updates that are pushed to me because, players on my teams are in the tournament. I will say, seeing Jordan Bennington having a very solid, like the one update I saw is, he's 3-0 and leading Team Canada. That's great. I want him playing really good hockey this time of year. Wish he could have maybe thrown us one of those games in that Winnipeg series. But the fact that he didn't want to shut it down and he wanted to keep competing, I like that. But at the end of the day, like, this is kind of, like you said, means a whole lot more, I think, to the European hockey community than it does to the North American hockey community. For the, it's guys that didn't make the playoffs getting a chance to keep playing, guys that got knocked out of the playoffs, same kind of deal. Yeah. I will say I've never actually watched a World Championships game.
Yeah, I said it. I watch it when it's on in the background. Bill, can you give me a little tap on your mic?
Oh, shut up, Kurt.
Kurt is giving us audio adjustments, and he's not even here. Yeah. That's what I love.
So Kurt just volunteered for editing, I think.
Yes. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Kurt can do the editing this week.
Is that better? Is that better? You were correct. I was coming out of the webcam.
I don't know how I didn't notice that, but good. Thank you, Kurt, for listening and not actually joining the show. Producer Kurt, yeah. All right, well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will get into all of it. End of season wrap up, the injuries that occurred, news on Torrey Krug, where we think the players struggled, grades for all of the players, off season coming up, everything. You are listening to Kurt and God damn, take two. You are listening to Jeff and Bill. Hopefully Kurt will be joining us very soon. Don't touch that dial. We will be right back. My God, I can't talk.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
As a hockey player, Mike Burgoyne knows a thing or two about making the perfect play. And when it comes to real estate, he's always ready to score the winning goal for his clients. If you're a first responder, a veteran, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, or a Let's Go Blues radio listener looking to score the home of your dreams, you'll receive special rates with Mike. Go ahead, shoot some questions his way, and he'll have the answer quicker than Curtis Joseph on a breakaway.
Curtis Joseph got the pedal down!
Any barriers? Mike will mow them down like Chris Pronger in front of the net. He'll score you your dream home or sell your existing home faster than a Brett Hall one-timer.
Put past the Hall, he shoots, he scores!
See Burgoyne's real estate prowess in action today by emailing him at mike@strikewithmike.com or by calling 314-753-4060. That email again is mike@strikewithmike.com, and that phone number is 314-753-4060. Getting Mike Burgoyne on your team will be the boost your power play needs.
Attention pickleball players. 6-0 Pickleball is an industry leader in high-end pickleball paddles. From the Paddle of the Year Double Black Diamond to the Kevlar-faced Ruby paddles, 6-0 has the perfect paddle to take your game to the next level. And while I have your attention, consider upgrading your pickleball bag to the highly touted Pro Tour bag or the Performance Backpack in some fantastic colors. 6-0 is also your place to stock up on paddle grips and edge guards. 6-0 has everything you need to elevate your game. And as long as you're playing well, you might as well look good too with 6-0's performance shirts, hats, and arm sleeves. Use discount code CPRICE10 for 10% off your entire purchase at 60pickleball.com. That's CPRICE10. Don't you dare get stuck on the court with inferior equipment. Go next level with 6-0.
We already know that you love hockey, and you obviously already love the Let's Go Blues radio podcast, but what about filling the gap between weekly Let's Go Blues radio episodes? That's where the LGB Minute comes in. Hosted by Jeff Ponder, the LGB Minute is an entertaining, down and dirty 5-minute St. Louis Blues podcast released multiple times a week to keep you informed of all things St. Louis Blues. So make sure to subscribe to the LGB Minute anywhere you listen to podcasts. Like right now. Do it now. Just click subscribe. It's easy. For the love of God, please.
And now, back to Let's Go Blues Radio, the longest running St. Louis Blues podcast with Price, Ponder, and Day.
Well, all right. Let's talk about some injuries. We'll get into that first. So, obviously, after any team loses in any playoff, typically NHL, though, you really hear about it. That's when you start hearing about the injury report, how guys were really suffering. Robert Thomas even said that Thomas was hurt late in the year, but battled through it because he wanted to play in the playoffs.
Right. I mean, it was pretty clear he had a groin injury from that weird play where whoever's stick it was got stuck in his pants off the face-off. I forget which game that was, but I think it was
Scott Hannon.
Utah Hockey Club. I think it was late in that game. Somebody's stick got stuck in his
Schmaltz.
It might have been, and he tried to go and couldn't finish. Clearly had a tweaked groin, but like Armstrong said in his presser, if he's healthy enough to play, he's gonna play, and he didn't really consider him injured. So,
yep. And Justin Scott says, Kurt, if you're here and not in the shows showing us your handsome self, you're a dickweed. I think we can all agree with that. He's a dickweed either way. So let's all just remember that. So Dylan Holloway was the big one. We kept hoping maybe we would see him. And I think when we did not see him in Game 6 or Game 7, I think we all kind of realized, we're not going to, even if the Blues were to miraculously go to the Stanley Cup final, there's a good chance we never see him in the playoffs. Because if you're not playing in Game 6 or 7 when you are facing elimination, you're probably not going to be good to go for a while. It was said by Doug Armstrong in the presser, Holloway will be 100% for training camp. He gave the update on Holloway's status during his end-of-season presser. He was hurt in the first period of the team's game on April 3rd versus Pittsburgh. He did not play the rest of the season or in the playoffs. Armstrong said, quote, "We didn't think it was going to be as serious as it was, and he needed to get some work done, but he'll be 100% for training camp." The 23-year-old achieved career highs in almost every category, posting 63 points, including 26 goals, 8 game-winning goals, and was a plus 21 rating in 77 games. We all said when he went down, this offense is basically going through Dylan Holloway this year. So we were like, man, we hope he can make it back at some point. And when he didn't, it was like, oh boy, like this team's offense is going to struggle. I think obviously the home games especially, I think the offense played fine without him. But it's like, man, imagine having that one extra little spark that the Blues could have had if Holloway wasn't hurt. Unfortunately, he did need some surgery, but it seemed Armstrong is pretty confident that he's going to be fine by September.
Yeah, I mean, just the not having him in this series versus Winnipeg, right? He was the guy that could have really neutralized a lot of their speed, I thought, and created more opportunity on the forecheck. Kyrou is a completely different player with him in the lineup than without. And I thought that was a pretty big hurdle to overcome. But yeah, I mean, hearing that he wasn't going to play like that confirmed our worst fears. But at this point, he's got the entire offseason to get ready for training camp. So.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about Holloway in a little bit when we talk about the upcoming offseason, but he is eligible to get a contract extension July 1st because this will be the last year of his 2-year deal. So it should be interesting to see how those talks go if they start this summer because, he's probably going to get a bump. So
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he has to, but at the same time, it's the same question about when Jordan Binnington, after they won the cup, it was like, well, what do you do? Do you sign this guy to an 8-year deal or do you sign him to a smaller deal? Because it's like, we want to see if you can do it again. I think I could see a bridge contract, but I really think that what'll happen, I think they'll go the summer without signing him. And if he comes out of the gate like he did, like he didn't miss a beat, to open the season, I could see Armstrong saying, okay, let's talk. Let's get this done.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most logical scenario. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see Armstrong do something for both he and Broberg during the offseason just to say, don't even think about it, fellas.
Yeah.
For any, obviously we have the rights. They can't get offer sheeted this summer. But get that doubt out of anyone's head that they will not be available UFAs come the following July 1.
Well, they'll still be restricted at that point. But I do think, they'll both have one more year of restricted eligibility. But I can see the Blues saying, fuck it, let's go ahead and sign them both to a long-term deal.
If that's the case, there's no way. Like, I think I didn't realize that they still had restricted eligibility. I thought the offer sheets counteracted that, but nope. I'm not an expert on this kind of thing.
Well, luckily I am. I'm just kidding. I just read the right people.
Yeah. So I think that gives the Blues, more of an onus to go ahead and get it done this offseason so that there's no possibility of, tampering and and do the right thing by these guys.
Could you imagine if Broberg or Holloway got offer sheeted again and left? Has a player ever done that twice? That would be insane.
It would be very insane.
Yeah.
Like that. And it would also show that Doug Armstrong is not the genius we think he is, or Alexander Steed is going to be a nightmare of a GM.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess we'll see. So the other issue, or the other injury that we wanted to talk about, Tyler Tucker. He was injured in Game 4 against the Jets and didn't return, a game he scored the game-winning goal in. Armstrong said Holloway and Tucker were done for the season. Tucker's injury, we all saw it in the playoffs. It was a non-surgical candidate, but he was going to be out a while. And I think we all, because they asked Montgomery, the next day after that game, what's the update on Tucker? He's day-to-day. I think every person was like, that's gamesmanship. There's no way that Tyler Tucker, with that injury, could possibly be back in the lineup at all this series. Maybe next series, but not this one. So, yeah, that when I heard him say that, I just kind of was like, yep, like no shock at all. Like, I think a lot of times you'll hear something like that, and you're like, oh, shit, I didn't realize that injury was so bad. This one was like, that seems right.
Yeah, things don't bend that way.
No,
and he's not Colton Parayko.
The other big injury, and obviously this extended all season, Torrey Krug came up in the post-season press conference. Doug Armstrong said, quote, I don't really think there's much uncertainty with Torrey. I talked to him. He was at the rink the other day, and he's just getting back to day-to-day living with his ankle, so I'm not expecting him to play again. He's hoping I'm wrong, and I'm hoping I'm wrong, but the surgery he had, it was very, very invasive. Krug does have 2 more seasons left on his 7-year, $45.5 million contract he signed with the Blues in 2020. Obviously, he was on LTIR all season. The plan is, I think, he will be on LTIR for the next 2 seasons, and then I would expect a retirement announcement from Torrey Krug. And we talked about this when it was released in September, that I said then, I'm like, I don't think we're going to see him play an NHL game again. Arthritic issues, and I can't remember the exact term for the actual ailment he suffers from. At that point in your ankle, you're not coming back from that. It's just not going. I mean, and if you do, kudos to you. You put the work in, but I mean, my God, that is a hard injury to come back from. And I think we were all kind of hoping, and I know that you'll have your naysayers saying he makes too much money, the Blues couldn't do it. I would have loved to have seen him come back and play maybe like very end of the season if he was able, if the Blues could have afforded, I guess, to have him back. Just to let him go out on his own terms. This is not how anybody would want to end their career. So I feel for the guy, but at the same time, I think this was kind of expected by most people close to the Blues.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to see a guy like him, succumb to injury and really lose 3 seasons of, what was a pretty solid career. He had his detractors here. He got the Armstrong standard defenseman salary of $6.5 for the 7 years or whatever it was. And didn't really have a chance to live up to it. The entire time it looked like he was going to get there. But yeah, now it's looking like it's done. I think he's the kind of guy that, he's the competitive drive in him is going to be so much that I don't think he stays away from the game. If he's not able to play, I could see him as a potential replacement for Mike Weber when the Blues need a new defensive coach.
Yeah, that, or I could see him going back and doing some kind of scouting or something for Boston.
Totally.
I think he'll be. I'm with you. From everything I've gotten from watching his press conferences and just hearing what I've heard about him in the locker room, he seems like a gamer. He's a dude who has to be around the game, and I totally get it. I didn't even play in the NHL, and that's how I feel. And so I get that. So yeah, I could see him, kind of hitting up the Blues, hitting up the Bruins, or maybe he's got friends in front offices elsewhere, and he's just like, hey, I want to stay around the game. What could I do? And I could see him doing like some scouting, maybe getting to an advisory role, and then, like you said, maybe even coaching at some point. So I don't think we've heard the last of Torrey Krug in the game of hockey. I'm with you. So, let's talk about some of the struggles this season. The one that I have here is the one that was brought up in the press conference, and this was the one that I even said before the press conference, and I think we even said it last week. This is something that absolutely needs to be corrected. The 6-on-5 for the Blues, both ends of it. When they have 6 and the other team has 6. In Game 7, we all know the Jets tied the score with 2 6-on-5 goals in the final 2 minutes of regulation that doomed the Blues' season. This is a stat that I did not know. And I got it from Jeremy Rutherford's article on The Athletic. So if you do not subscribe to The Athletic, you should, because Rutherford cranks out amazing shit. It's not shit. It's great. So this was an exact quote from his article. He said, when the opponent's net was empty, they allowed 13 6-on-5 goals, the most in the NHL. Meanwhile, when the opponent's net was empty, they only scored 11 times themselves. They were the only team in the league with a negative differential in 6-on-5. That's alarming. Like, you think about it, how many times in a season, I mean, well, we got the numbers right here, but like on average, how many times a season are you either skating 6-on-5 or facing a team that's skating 6-on-5? I mean, right here, it was what? It doesn't actually have the actual numbers of games they played, but I'd say probably 25, 30 games a year that's going to happen because you're going to be in close games. It's going to happen. And when your differential is a negative, you're going to lose a lot of important games, or at the very least, lose the ability to gain 2 points on your opponent because you have to win it in overtime. That is alarming. And I'll add one more quote, and then I want to get your opinion on this, Bill. Jim Montgomery said, I think the biggest takeaway from the 5 versus 6 is showing a little more poise. I think we had 4 icings, and this was talking about the Game 7. We had 4 icings, 2 of them. There's plays we could have made that probably would have clinched the game, which there's one that I definitely want to talk about, which we'll talk about in a minute. But, Bill, I mean, what do you do here? How do you fix the 6-on-5 issue?
You actually coach to it. You know, I think that kind of became evident, right? That Armstrong didn't really like it. It was almost like he froze in the final minutes of that game, right? Didn't use his timeout, didn't try to get his guys to calm down, and just like, let's just get through this, and you know, the things are going to go our way. And that was just the wrong thing to do, right? I think it starts with coaching, right? Obviously you had the one, you know, Steve Bushnevich, which I know you want to talk about.
Yes,
he you know, his
okay, as you're getting into this, let's go ahead and just read his quote, because they did ask him about it, and he said, quote, after we landed in St. Louis after the game, I couldn't fall asleep because I'm overthinking what I could do differently. We have to learn our lesson and get better next year. You have to learn your lesson, Pavel Buchnevich. Like that, and I said it at the end of the game, I put a major chunk of that loss on him. He would have sealed the game had he have done anything different than what he did.
Right.
Anyway,
all he needed to do was take 3 to 5 strides, and that game's over. Right. And and he's like, oh, I'm gonna go bar down like the ice. And yeah. So
why not even put it along the ice? He sailed it.
Right. That's what, like, to me, I felt like he was trying to go bar down and trying to make it fancy, because that's what he does, right? He overplays things. But I think at the end of the day, what everything tells me here is that the Blues don't practice this scenario. They don't have they don't game plan it until, you know, there's maybe a TV timeout. Obviously, they didn't call their timeout to game plan. Okay, this is what we do. I need you guys to reset. I don't understand, like, that, how, if you are that bad, right? I guess the only answer is, if you're that bad, you're the only team in the NHL that has a negative differential in this scenario. You're hoping is what you're doing as a coach by pulling the goalie by not pulling the goalie, because if that was Arneal's decision, but by not calling your timeout, you're hoping that the average is going to work out, right? Like the law of average is going to swing back, and it got worse.
Well, and what he said, do you see what he said in the press conference about that, why he didn't use his timeout?
I did not.
So he said that basically, it's not verbatim, but he said something along the lines of, their best players were tired too, so I didn't want to give them a break. And I admit, I kind of understand that mentality, like in the moment, being like, Connor's been out there for 2 minutes. You know, like, if I take a break, he's just going to stay out. Like, I get that to a certain extent, but at the same time, your team's floundering. They are not looking good in their own zone. They're making terrible puck decisions.
Right.
Falk should not have even been on the ice, in my opinion. Buchnevich with the horrible clear and just terrible puck decisions. And I'm like, that's why you take your timeout right there, not because you want to rest your guys and not rest the other guys, but you gotta calm them down and say, guys, what the fuck are we doing? Like, we need to get some structure here. And I mean, be a coach. So I'm with you 100%. Like, take that time out, man. I mean, I don't care that you're basically giving Kyle Connor the last 3 minutes of the game. You've got to get your guys settled down. They do not look good right now.
Yeah, I mean that was hearing that now. My reaction is he didn't understand his own player's state of mind at that point, right?
Yep.
He is putting the emphasis on how the other team's playing, and you want to ice that, right? After the goal, you want to try to cut their momentum. There is no downside, that downside that he's talking about of giving Connor and Shifley and those guys, well, not Shifley, he wasn't, but Connor and Morrissey and all those guys, Perfetti, a break. You don't focus on the other team. Focus on what you can control, and that is your team. And he just, wrong decision. And he is the first guy that's got to learn from that.
Yep. Well, we got a comment here, and actually, I do not have this in the outline. I don't know if you've seen this, Bill. Rowdy Lloyd over on Facebook says, "I really hope they don't change the logo. They don't need to go through a rebrand. If it ain't broke, don't fix it." Have you seen any of this going around, Bill?
I saw something the other night. I'm like, I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. I'm not, until I hear something, that from the, a more reputable source than what I've seen so far, I'm not going to worry about it. But I don't like it. If that's what they're going to do, I don't. I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think
it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm hoping it's maybe just something to do with maybe like a third. Well, I guess at this point it'd be like a fourth jersey. So we'll see what happens with that. But maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit. I've got a photo pulled up for those of you who don't know what's going on. But before we get to that, let's welcome in our friend Kurt Price, who is so fashionably late to this episode. How are you, sir?
I'm here. I'm exhausted, but I'm here. I had to get something to eat because I felt like I was going to pass out.
Lion's Choice.
No.
Have you had the El Cubano?
Ooh.
What is that?
Their Cuban sandwich.
No.
What?
No. I had it for the first time Sunday night.
Is it good?
It's pretty good. Go get it. See if you like it. It's a little bit weird if you like Cuban sandwiches. It's a little beef. Weird. It's beef and ham instead of pork and ham, but it works.
I went through Hawaiian Brothers.
Did you get the worst mac and cheese in the history of the world?
Oh, wow. That's a callback.
Worst mac and cheese ever. That was funny. But
you had a radio rant about that, didn't you? Like way back in the day?
No. I texted Kurt and his cousin Jeff after I probably shouldn't have been driving at that point, but I went through that after our annual Black Friday excursion to Global Brew, and I got that. I got home, and it was macaroni salad, not mac and cheese.
Right.
And I was like, "What the hell is this?"
It's cold. I never get that. I just double the rice and I say no mac. I'm not a fan of macaroni salad. Not a fan of any salad that doesn't have lettuce in it.
Yeah,
I'm not a pasta salad guy. I'm not a
salad. Any salad that is defined by mayo should not be considered.
Potato salad. No, thank you. Are you a potato salad guy, Jeff?
Oh yeah,
no,
100%.
You totally seem like it.
What does that mean?
I mean,
I'm kidding.
Well, he's gone rogue with the hair, so he's gonna go rogue and live on potato salad. He's gonna go take his hair and take his bowl of potato salad and go live on an island somewhere.
I think that's okay. I'll do that. All right. Let's get into. Well, actually, real quick. So I mentioned the 6-on-5 struggle. Anything else? What other issues would you like to see? Obviously, player personnel we'll get into, but any coaching issues, things you notice with this team that you'd like to see an improvement on and a focus on in training camp next year?
I mean, I guess I look at how the team finished in the playoffs and what cost them. the series against Winnipeg. Besides the 6-on-5 play, like in overtime, I think the mentality in overtime was not to get the puck on net enough. So I think a mentality shift, more pucks on net might be. Come next playoffs, should the Blues make the playoffs again next season, should we get into an overtime game, and should it go long? And I get that in the second overtime, your shorter shifts, but the problem with the shorter shifts in the second overtime with the Blues is Winnipeg have the puck, and the Blues they finally get the puck back, and they would get it, but they're only on for like 30 seconds. They get the puck, they skate to center, dump it in, go for a change. Winnipeg gets the puck back, comes back in. So they're just dumping the puck in. Second overtime, they didn't have a lot of pressure at all. So I don't know. It just seemed like Winnipeg's goal was just a matter of time because the Blues weren't pressuring at all. A little mentality shift as far as pucks on net, because Winnipeg had that mentality.
Yeah.
Right. They were putting pucks on net every chance they got, and the Blues weren't. So I thought that was a problem in a way. So you guys talked about. I heard you guys talking about Holloway, which was massive loss, right? So, yep. but they had injuries too. Winnipeg did. So,
all right. Well, let's get into some player grades. I guess what we'll do is let's go alphabetical order. We'll start with Bill on each one, and then we'll go to Kurt, and then I'll finish.
Are we going alpha by position or alpha total?
How many times do I have to fucking tell you this, Bill?
Alpha by position is what you said earlier.
Yes.
But then you just said alphabetical order.
But I'm saying I will ask you first, Bill. Do you need me to really spell this out for you?
We're
going to do Bill first, then Kurt, then Jeff, because that B, C, J. Does that make sense?
Oh, I was talking about the players.
Just like the hospital.
Oh.
I mean, close.
Kind of.
BJC, but
BJC, yeah. We could do that one.
All right, let's start with Bill. We're going to go through the forwards first. Your rating, and if you want to give a little bit with it, that's fine, but let's not spend 10 minutes on each player. Zachary Bolduc, what's your grade for him?
I'm going to give him a B-. I'll and this is mostly about his regular season. His postseason was not good. It wasn't that it wasn't good. He didn't take advantage of any opportunities he got and was kind of invisible. Winnipeg had him figured out that he was going to be in the bumper and didn't give him that shot. But during the regular season, I really, really thought he was going to get 20. Fell one short. But him pulling 19 in his first full season, I thought was a solid year.
I think, what'd you say, B-, Bill?
Yes.
I'm gonna say a B. I think, but that B is mostly on. It's gonna be weighted for the second half of the season for him. If I'm weighting the first half, it's probably like a D+.
Yeah,
so
I think the point of demarcation you can draw is pre-Montgomery, post-Montgomery.
Right. Yeah. So I think he found his game under Montgomery. So I'm going to. And he was a big part of the Blues down the stretch, a big part of the winning streak. So, in the playoffs, he hopefully he'll figure that out coming years in playoffs, because where stuff gets tighter, harder to produce. So I'm gonna go with a B.
Same as Kurt. I give it a B, and all the same reasons. Nothing to add. Pavel Buchnevich, Bill.
I'm going to give him a solid B, because I'm really, again, not focusing on the playoffs. If we focus on the one game of the playoffs, he gets an F. But
yeah.
No, Buchnevich, I mean, he was what, fourth on the Blues in scoring, 57 total points, 37 assists, 20 goals, and his 37 assists, 21 of those were primary. He was definitely a point possession driver for this team, and I thought he got better as the year went along.
I'm going to give him a C+, and I say that because, yeah, he was fourth in scoring, but I think he's capable of doing more. I'd like to see him convert more chances. I'd like to see him make better decisions around the net as far as putting the puck on net. I think his 57 points in 76 games, that's solid. But I think I'm just coming with that grade. I expect more from him. I think how he performed this season is a little shy of where he should be. So maybe I'm being hard on him, but I think that's just how I feel.
Yeah, you guys are a little bit more generous than me. I'm going to give him a straight C. I just kind of like Kurt just said, I wanted more from him. I just felt, even when they like tried to stack the lines and put him with Thomas and Kyrou, I'm like, yeah, he's making nice plays here and there, but shoot the fucking puck, make smarter passes. Two of the biggest moments that we saw against us this year were from boneheaded plays by him. The obviously Game 7 we've already talked about, but the goalie goal from Jonas Gustafsson was because they had a neutral zone faceoff, wanted to Buchnevich, and he flips it right on net. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, no one's going to be on him. That's going to give the goalie or one of his players a clear shot at the net. Just so many boneheaded plays by him.
Yeah. I will revise my grade. I will go with a C as well, because that
you talk into it.
Yeah, I was very critical of him. I think he overcomplicates plays when there's a simpler play there, and then when the simpler play is there, he doesn't take advantage of it. And I think
I'm not going to be the highest grade. I'm going to go with a C too.
All right, C it is.
He's got to get it worked out.
Yep. Dalibor Dvorsky.
Too new to rate.
Agree.
Yep. And A.
All right. Yeah, I gave him an incomplete because I just need to see more. Radek Faksa.
Solid B. For what we brought him in for, he did. And then in the playoffs, he brought experience that nobody else did.
Yeah, I think in the playoffs is where he shined. And down the stretch. I'm gonna say I'll say B-.
I'm actually giving him an A-. I really liked his game. I mean, that the WTF line was the best fourth line in hockey for me all season long. I mean, it was like Game 3 that they were together. That somebody, I think it was actually, unfortunately, Frank Cusimano who coined it, and yeah, I think even then we were like, whoa, like Fox looks pretty good as a fourth liner. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more offense from him in the regular season, but you guys mentioned it in the playoffs. He was money. He was great. So, yeah.
So he is a UFA, and
that's coming up. We'll talk.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
All right.
Dylan Holloway.
A-. Right. I would give him an A+ because I was impressed by him, except he had a really slow start to the season. And it took until that Carolina game, what is it, 8 games in, where he had that toe drag between the legs, then shoot it goal, that he found his confidence and really took off. I mean, he, like we said before, he was the catalyst for this offense. Jordan Kyrou is an entirely different player when he's in the game and on the same line as him. Takes the pressure off Kyrou of having to be the fast guy that's causing the turnovers, or starting the forecheck. Just absolutely impressed. The fact that we got him on that offer sheet is still like Doug Armstrong should be GM of the year.
Agree.
I think I'm going to go A-, and it would be an A+ if, like for the same reason, if he had the better start. Also, staying healthy is part of the game, and he got hurt at the worst time, and that was a huge reason why the Blues didn't advance. So that's not his fault, but it's just it comes with the territory. You got to stay healthy. So and he did not do that this season. 77 games, right? He played. He's pretty healthy, but just right at the end, he gets hurt. So,
I'm not going to hold that against him. I'm giving him an A+. He was just so impressive all year, and like we said earlier, drove the offense. Really missed him in the playoffs, but Yeah, I just think, man, lock this kid up. He is so good, and he works so well in a Montgomery system. Matthew Joseph.
C+. I liked him early on in the season. I thought, he brought what we, kind of like, Fox. He kind of started on the same trajectory as Foxa. He is what we thought he was, but he never earned the trust of Montgomery. And by the end of the season, he was getting most of the play, but then to start the playoffs, he's sitting. He didn't show enough on the offensive side of the puck. I thought his game is solid, but I thought that our weakest line was our third line, and that's where he was all year.
Yeah, I mean, I think his biggest asset is his speed.
Yeah.
So I think if not for his speed, he'd get like a solid C, and that to me, kind of, almost like he's a replaceable player. Aside from his speed is nice, so that I'll give him a C+. I mean, 4 goals in 60 games. Got to see a little more. It'd be nice to see a little more, but I mean, I aside from his speed, he didn't do a whole lot for me this year. So,
I'm giving him a C. I thought he was exactly what I thought he would be, a fringe player that would come out of the lineup pretty easily if some of the young guns were ready to come up. I think he was right where I expected him. So I'd say a C. Here's a fun one. Kasperi Kapanen. Bill.
The big F. 1 goal in 10 games.
I was going to say no elaboration needed. Everyone knows how we feel about him.
1 goal in 10 games, and the fucker's going to win a Stanley Cup this year.
I doubt that. They need a goalie.
I mean, I'll give him an F+ because he got 1 goal, but
I will stand by the fact that I will never understand why Armstrong bought him back this year. I was happy they put him on waivers and got rid of him, but that made 0 sense to me at the time. Still makes 0 sense to me now. Absolute garbage hockey player. Cannot believe he is still in the NHL.
And still playing, and we aren't.
Yeah. Jordan Kyrou.
So I'm going to give him an A- for his regular season. I thought he stepped his game up this year, but long term, I think we've seen the peak of his game, and he's not going to be. I don't think we're going to use the term elite, right? If you go back and look at the player that was put up on like the promos on ESPN, especially, the guy that was there was Kyrou. And I mean, he had a great season with 37 goals. Maybe if he gets 40, I'm like, I bumped this up even more. He had a solid, great season, 37 goals, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being too generous, and this A- really belongs to Dylan Holloway.
He falls into the same category in a way as Buchnevich for me, and I'll clarify. So when you see Kyrou on his game, dynamic, right? Guy can snipe, can score. It's like he makes too many, and 70 points in 82 games. People say, "What are you complaining about? 70 points, second on team in scoring. What are you complaining about?" I'm like, you watch him play, and you see all the chances that he doesn't convert on, or that he passes up, and he is always among the team leaders in chances. But it just seems like he needs to be. I don't know. I for as many chances as he gets, as much as he's around the net, it seems like he makes a lot of bad decisions. And he could be a 90-point guy. I think if he just, I don't know. And I think I agree with Bill. I think we've seen his peak, which is not bad. It's good. But I don't think he's going to fall into that elite category. I agree with Bill. So A- is fine. I'd love to be able to say, oh yeah, A+, but it's just, why is it that he is a frustrating player? He's second on the team in scoring.
It's obvious to me.
36
is it not
goals.
obvious?
He's just disappointing too often. Not all the time, just more than he should be. He's disappointing. You're frustrated with him and a little more often.
It's because he's weak. He needs to put on muscle.
He is weak, and that was evident in the playoffs.
Dude, playoffs awful. He was. Yeah. I mean, I know he scored 3 goals, but I'm like, dude, every time he's nudged in the corner, the puck flies off his stick like he's like in NHL 24 or something. I mean, it's awful, and it's just like, dude. I mean, you don't even have to really be tough to me, like a big tough guy to be able to hold on to the puck. You just got to be smart to be like, oh, this guy's coming at me. He's going to bump me. I need to protect the puck.
Avoid. And Gretzky wasn't a big tough guy.
And I don't think I just don't think he knows how to protect the puck at all. And it's like, dude, if he just could be just more sound holding on to the puck, and even his dumb mistakes, I would look over if he was just tougher on the puck, and he's just not.
Yeah, he got rubbed out of the play a lot on the boards, especially.
I gave him a B- just because of that. I'm with you guys. I love the goal scoring when he scores and he's on. He's great. He can really lead the offense when he's really going. But my God, he is so weak on the puck. And like you guys said, the bad mistakes. It's overwhelming sometimes. Like he's kind of reminds me of Corey Stillman in that sense. When Stillman was on, that dude would score at will. But then he'd take 10 games and it's like, where the fuck is Corey Stillman? Why isn't he showing up again? And it's like, it's the same with Kyrou. Like he'll go 3 or 4 games and it's like the only time you notice him is when he gives the puck up in the slot and they got a 2-on-1 the other way. And it's just like, it's frustrating because it's just like, you are so good. How can you fuck up this much?
Yeah.
I like Joe Schmo's comment here. He says, Kyrou definitely needs to pound some iron in the off season.
Yeah.
Or just put on some weight. I mean,
yeah. I thought there were 2 interesting things about Kyrou from the presser. One, that Armstrong calling out that, the turning point for him was when his clock got cleaned in game 1 by Stanley. That was a big moment. And shit, my mind's blanking. The other spot, the other thing was Kyrou's comment in his presser when he talked about we just needed to score 1 more goal. And it's like, okay, that right there is kind of telling, like your hockey awareness is not great because all you needed to do was stop 1 more goal.
Yeah.
All you need to do was not ice the puck. That's what
you had 2 opportunities to do it. But that to me, that tells me that he, at this point in his career, is still more offensively minded than defensively minded. Yeah, he's probably thinking about, once it got to overtime, we just needed that 1 more goal, but that game should never have got to overtime.
No.
And every player on that team should have been harping on that.
What did you notice this season? What Kyrou was not doing much of it all. The massive stick handling from previous year. He didn't do hardly any of that. He wasn't trying to beat guys one-on-one. I would like to see him try and beat
because of Holloway.
Well, I'd like to see him go wide on play. How many times this season do you see Kyrou break into the zone, even with the defenseman, and not try and beat him wide? He pulls up and waits for someone to come with him, instantly negating his biggest asset, which is his speed. He just pulls up and stops and waits for the people to come in the zone, which might be the game plan. But I'm like, you're one of the fastest guys in the league when you want to be, and he just doesn't try and beat guys wide, doesn't crash the net, and that could also play into him being weak on the puck too. So.
Jake Neighbors.
Jake Neighbors, I'm giving a B-. I'm disappointed with his overall point production. I thought there were too many times in the season where he just disappeared for a few games.
I'll say B. I think he's a 20, 25 goal guy maybe, which is he had 22 this season. So I was okay. I was fine with this play this season. Yeah, I'd love to see everybody score a little more, but I think he was okay. I think he was fine.
Yep, I agree. I think he was pretty much exactly where I expected him to be. I was afraid of the drop off after his breakout year last year, but thought he played pretty well and scored big goals too when the Blues needed it. So I did give him a B. I do think he's got a little bit of a higher of a ceiling, not even just in goal scoring, just contributions on the boards, defensively. I could see him being a good penalty killer. I just don't think he's there yet. So I'd like to see him make that step next season. Here's another fun one. Brandon Saad.
D. Right. His points came in, or his goals came in 2 games. He had 7 goals, but they came in 2 games or 3 games, whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. D+.
Only
and
reason
again, another guy that's still fucking playing.
Yeah, I know. Surprising.
Yeah. Well, Maroon won 3 cups in a row, so whatever.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Sato, I did have him as a D-, but I switched it to an F simply for the fact that it was the minute he left this team
they took off.
He started turning it around. So I'm like, clearly there was just something not right with him on this roster. So I've said it before. I like Brandon Saad. I thought he was fine even this season. I thought, he'd disappear, but I thought he was fine. But the turnaround in his team after he left, I thought that's kind of telling. That tells me something about him. Braden Shen.
Braden Shen, I have as a B-. I thought he had an overall pretty solid year. As a leader for this team. But could have been, he should have been higher. I'm seeing that I'm very generous for a lot of these guys now. But
I liked Shen this season. Nice bounce back season from last season. And maybe this is the island of his last few seasons in the NHL that he plays well. Next year, I'm very curious to see how he's going to play. But I was I'll give Shen an A-. I like Shen a lot this year. I thought he seemed like a good leader on the ice. Did a fine job. Production wise, was money on overtime. I was a big fan of Shen this year. So hopefully, he can duplicate this next year.
Yeah, I gave him an A. Again, same reasons as Kurt. Thought he played really great down the stretch. Great leader. I said it when he was named captain. I was afraid he was going to turn into a Dallas Drake type player that stopped hitting and focused more on leadership. He's still the big crashing guy. Like you said, Kurt, possibly might be the peak of his last couple of years in the NHL. Hopefully not. But I went with an A. Jimmy Snuggerud.
I gave Snugs a B+. His coming in, he had an instant impact on this team, and the fact that they gave him the opportunity to play only top line minutes, I thought that was, a huge change in how the team approached it. But it's because of the player who he is. And I'm looking forward to it. I actually wish that they would have considered using him. I think he's got more poise than guys like Buchnevich. Would have been interesting to see what would have happened had he been on the ice towards the end of that game. But never going to give a rookie that kind of ice time.
Yeah. He played 7 games in the regular season, had 4 points. Played 7 playoff games, had 4 points. So I think that's fantastic. Had 2 goals. One of them was a really shit goal on Hellebuck, but whatever, it counts. Snuggerud exceeded my expectations for this early in his career. I wasn't expecting quite this level of play out of him. Aside from a couple of look like nervous hiccups first couple games, I thought he's been pretty good. Aside from some turnovers in the playoffs and throwing the puck in the middle of the ice, kind of blindly, like two series in a row. But I'll give him a, what'd you say, Bill? B+? I'll agree with that. B+.
So I gave him an A-. Originally, I actually had it as incomplete because I thought, man, I just want to see more before I give him a rating. But like you said, Kurt, 14 games, probably enough to at least get an idea. Agree. Kind of exceeded my expectations. Thought he'd step in, they'd try him on the top lines at some point, and then he'd fall back down to the third line. But he never did that. He played fine. So, yeah, A- for Snuggerud for me. Oscar Sundqvist.
C+. C+, mostly because he's the center that gets the extra time late in games to take faceoffs, and his faceoff percentage was sub 50 this year.
Yeah.
His contribution in game one, that I thought was a beautiful goal, but his best days are behind him. Depending on, we'll talk about potential offseason moves, I think in a little bit, but if he's not back next year, I think he's under contract, but if, something were to happen and he's not back, I'm not going to be upset. I'd rather see him be the Blues hype man than be the third line center next year.
I'm torn between a C and a C+ from him. I like him. I'll go C+. I think I don't like how he's used sometimes on the power play, especially. I don't like him on the power play. Not his fault.
Right.
But, you can't control how you're being used, I guess, but I don't think they should use him on the power play at all. I'm not sure why he is, but C+.
I gave him a C. Same reasons as you guys. Alexander Texier.
Texier got straight C. Showed signs of brilliance and, like elite hockey mind, but then just was terrible.
I don't think he got enough playing time this season. I don't think he got as much as he should have. I did like him.
Brandon Saad.
Yeah, right. I did like him a lot earlier in the season, but then when he got more playing time later on, he kind of didn't do as much with it as I had hoped. I want to give him a B-, but no, C+.
I actually gave him a B-. Yeah, I agree with you, Kurt. I don't think he had enough playing time to really show what he could do. And when he's just kind of inserted, here and there, I'm like, it's hard to really be like, to get in a groove as a player.
To sit 15 games straight and then get put in.
Yeah,
right?
and then it's like, oh, we're putting you in, and since you're kind of an offensively gifted guy, we're having you play top 6 minutes. And it's like, I've been sitting for 15 days, boys. Like, yeah, so for me, I'm a little probably more generous. Maybe I should be, but B- for me. Robert Thomas.
A. He is the star of this team, and he lived up to that this year. Led the team in scoring. Was our best faceoff man by far. Is there more to his game? Yes, there's still more to his game. He is the leader on this team, offensively and defensively. He could potentially down the road be a Selke contender. Tough to get that because the league tends to find favorites in that category. But I loved pretty much every facet of his game, except I still think he's young enough that he's learning how long the seasons can be and still getting used to that.
I like that he shot more this year. And because he's got one of the best wrist shots on the team. He's a fantastic snipes corners. Love that he goes upper glove too. Because those are pretty. So solid A. Love Thomas. And I in the past I wish he had shot more, and he's shot more this year. So good for him.
So I'm going to compare him, and maybe it's a little unfair to do this at this point, to a former Blues player, Bernie Federko. And I'm going to say that because I feel like he is easily overshadowed in the NHL. Like, I've heard people say all the time, like, whoa, who knew Robert Thomas had 65, 70 points? And it's like, we did. And apparently back in the day with Federko, that was the case because he was overshadowed by the Lemieux and the Gretzky's of the league. So, like, for me, I look at Robert Thomas as a Bernie Federko, that he is overshadowed constantly by the big names of the centers in the NHL. And I do think he is. I know that's kind of the joke, but he is elite. He's right there as one of the top centers in the league. I give him an A for I agree with Bill. I think there's more to his game. That's the only reason I didn't give him an A+. I think we could see a little bit more. I would even say tenacity in the corners, because his hockey IQ is off the charts. Best on the team. So yeah, I think Robert Thomas, sky's the limit for him. I'm giving him an A. But let's move on to Alexei Toropchenko.
I had to give the big man a C+ just because he didn't score enough. He was so snake bitten this season, but he never gave up. I wanted to give him a B-, but his overall production for the regular season just wasn't enough.
I agree. C+. Same reasons.
Yep. Same here. C+. Wow, that one was easy. Nathan Walker.
B-. He was given a role. He played to that role. Took some bad penalties, but he is an emotional spark plug for this team when they need it. And part of that fourth line, I thought Toropchenko was the weak link on that fourth line just because he didn't score. Walker contributed goals, contributed feistiness, fights, everything you wanted. Loved his game.
I'm going to say B+. 3 goals in 7 games in the playoffs too. So yeah, he was, I love Walker. I love his attitude. I love that he backs down from nobody. Only, what did he get? Only, where is he? Where's Walker? I lost him. 16 points. Yeah. 8 goals, 8 assists. I think that's fine for him, maybe. But yeah,
liner?
I liked him.
Fourth liner getting more than 5 goals.
Okay, so I'm gonna say B+. I like Walker a lot.
I'm giving an A. I loved his game this year. Loved his game since he's come up to the NHL. Again, that WTF line was just ridiculous. So yeah, I loved his game. Going to give him an A. Let's move on to defense. Philip Broberg.
A-. Would have been an A+, except took him a little too long to get reacclimated after the injury. But everything about his game, I am looking forward to 2 years from now, he is going to be our number 1 defenseman.
I think B+ for him, for me. Out of the gates this season, he was a Norris. His play was Norris Trophy-like for the first and then he got hurt. And then, like you said, Billy came back and he wasn't quite the same for a while, which is, fine. Come back from an injury. I get it. But loved his play. I agree, Bill. Fantastic player. Armstrong stole him from Edmonton.
Yes.
It's not too often you just flat out steal players of his caliber from a team. And he's a keeper.
I went same as Kurt, B+. Just again, I agree with everything you guys said, but I'll just say I kind of feel like his play trailed off a little at the end of the season. I thought he was fine in the playoffs, but towards the end of the season, especially when they kind of started to falter there in the last couple games of the year, I thought, man, I'd love to see one of those monster goals from Broberg we saw earlier in the year, or even just like a really nice defensive play. I thought he was just kind of there. So I don't know if it was the fatigue of playing in a full season and well, you guys mentioned also having the injury. But yeah, I thought he turned it on again in the playoffs. So I'm going to give him a B+. Justin Falk.
C+. I think that the biggest detriment to his game was overuse, but that I think was mostly out of necessity. He would just have so many strings of being the worst player on the ice for several games in a row. I saw that way too often where it was consecutive game after consecutive game where he just was the weak link, but I think it was overexposure.
I think, and I agree with you, but on the other side of the coin, though, there were stretches where he was excellent. And he was kind of a Jekyll and Hyde player of the season. So, I think C+ is fair. I'll go with that.
I went a little bit lower than you guys. I went C-. Same reasons as what Bill said, but I just feel like when he was bad, he was really bad. Yeah, I mean, he had stretches where he was great, but he still wasn't the best player on the ice. He had stretches where he was the worst player on the ice, like Bill said. So I'm going to say C-. I'd like to see, and again, maybe as because I feel like this was the first year we really saw Justin Falk's age. I thought last year it was more injury. This year, I think it was age because he played a lot, and I felt like, again, even during that winning streak, I remember thinking, Falk, what the fuck are you doing? And I think it was just out of being tired. And yeah, so I think we saw his age this year. So I'll say C-. Cam Fowler, the midseason acquisition.
A. Right, dude was a stud. His you didn't expect to get the player that we got, but my God, he was so transformative to this team. Right, once he came aboard, this team was like, that was one of the big shifts, right? And Armstrong called it out in his presser, right? The three big changes, right? The offer sheets, Montgomery signing, and Fowler. Fowler settled this defense down and gave us that top pairing that we so desperately were seeking and couldn't find.
How many people do you remember on social media when we acquired Cam Fowler? How many people were like, why another aging defenseman?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I scratched my head.
Well, and I was like, it was a thing where, you get him out of Anaheim and obviously he just took off, right? I don't think anybody expected him to play this well.
I know Pat Verbeek didn't.
Solid A for sure. We don't do anything this season without him. He was one of the key pieces of this team that the team had to have to make the playoffs. So solid A.
I gave 2 A+. One to Dylan Holloway, and the other one's going to Cam Fowler. 10 points in the playoffs, led the team. Fucking ridiculous. Yep. Just an unbelievable player. The 2 goals in the Winter Classic in his 100th game was so fucking cool to see. Provided such a spark for this team, like you guys said, and just loved his defensive play. Just so sound, like not a big hitter, not even really a big stick checker, just positionally such a good player that stepped up when he needed to, scored a lot of points, and was a great anchor on the line with Parayko. So very impressed by Cam Fowler.
He scored me several 0.0s for when I needed a player with 100 goals in a career.
So that means that you have to raise him by at least a half a grade, right, Bill?
Yeah, actually, when I omitted the playoffs from my analysis. With the playoffs, 100%
A+. Pierre Olivier Joseph.
A C. I liked what I saw. He played a lot bigger than he was. I was kind of sad when they made the move because I like that idea of the brothers on the team. But at the end of the day, we got better after he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
C, same reasons. I was C.
Yeah, I'm with you. Probably a C. I marked him as incomplete because just kind of like what Bill said, I wanted to see a little bit more from him. But yeah, I mean, if I have to give him a grade, he was mostly not noticeable when he played, which is what you want, I think, from a defensive defenseman. But yeah, he was okay. Matthew Kessel.
D. Took a massive step backwards. Wasn't going to be the guy that got called up. Wasn't comfortable with him in the lineup. Cheered more for Corey Schooneman than I did him.
Right. Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. That's I am fine with that analysis, Bill.
Yep. I think I'm with you. I have a C- for him. I'm a little nicer than you, Bill, but because I do still think we saw some of his upside, especially very, very early in the season. But man, he really took a sophomore slump this year. So yeah, I'll say C-, and I think that's being a little generous. Nick Leddy.
C-. I mean, he was too often the weak link on, of the aging veteran decor. Like Ryan Suter was the guy that I'm like, I'm going to hate this guy the whole season. But it turned out that was Nick Leddy.
God. I mean, he didn't play a lot. Yeah, C-. That's fine. It'd be nice if they could move on from Leddy, to be honest. I'd like to see that happen, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So,
who's the new Arizona Coyotes where we can just dump off his contract? Anaheim, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. Did he play for Quenneville at any point?
We'll have to give him a draft pick, probably a second rounder.
Yeah, hey, I'm fine with that. Getting him off the roster.
I think he did play for Quenneville in Chicago, so we have a match. We have a match.
Yeah, I gave him a C- as well. Just not good enough. I think he played a lot better when he came back from injury and was not on the top pair. But then when Parayko got hurt, they tried him on the top pair again, and it just did not work. So I'm going to give him a C-. I didn't like his play in the playoffs either. They took Ryan Suter out for games 3 and 4 to put Tucker in. I would have much preferred to see Suter stay in and let him come out.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think the issue, again, comes down to contracts, that we're paying this guy too much money to sit on the bench. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But, yeah, not a fan of his play. Would love to see him off this roster by next season. Scott Prunovich.
D. Like we gave this guy so many opportunities and it took him 4 fucking years to score his first goal.
Yeah.
I wanted him to succeed so bad. That series against Colorado when he quarterbacked the power play, right? Like this he's a savant on the power play. And we need to use him. And he just could never get over that hump where they trusted him on the defensive side of the puck. And time to move on. And sayonara.
C-. I didn't. I rooted for him so hard. Not like you, Bill. Because the talent was there, but you just didn't. You just couldn't get over the hump as far as production, staying in the lineup. Yeah, C-.
I gave him an incomplete because again, I want to see a little bit more from him, but I'm with Bill on what he said 100%. I was trying to root for him, but it's just like you can't crock the lineup for a reason. It's not like he's got a Montgomery or Bannister had vendetta against him. So yeah, I agree. Colton Parayko.
A. Straight A. Like he was the elite defenseman, and because of 4 Nations, I think finally got the national exposure that he needed. He was revelatory finally over that injury, and like he and Fowler going into next year as our top pairing. Oh, I love it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely love it.
I'm going to give him I feel like if I give him an A+, I should adjust Fowler's to an A+ too. I'm going to give him an A+. Career year for him.
Mm-hmm. 16
fantastic
goals.
Yeah. So he should have gotten, if he hadn't gotten hurt, Norris consideration. Mm-hmm. So wouldn't have got it, but he was up there. A+. Right. I'm gonna give him a solid A+, just because that this season of Colton Parayko is, he's had really good seasons before with us, but this was the best one by far, and this was our wet dream for Parayko as far as what we wanted out of him when he came up. This is what we wanted to see.
I'm gonna go A-. All the reasons you guys said, I loved his play. I thought he was great. My only reason I did not give him just a flat out A is I thought he was atrocious in games 1 and 2 of the playoffs. I mean, could not clear the puck, couldn't hit players with passes. Now, you can make that case for a lot of players on this team, but Colton Parayko is a guy that needs to step up in moments like that, and I thought he looked awful. So it's hard for me to look past that, and I know, Bill, you said you didn't include playoffs in your rankings, but I did. So that's the only reason I gave him an A-, but if the Blues don't make the playoffs in that last game, I probably give him an A+. Same reasons you all said.
He's also probably playing hurt too. So
he is, but I'm sorry, I never count that as a caveat. To me, I'm like, if you're playing hurt, you should be playing 100%. You should be playing like I'm not going to listen to that as an excuse. If you're good enough to play, you're good enough to be held accountable for your play. That's how I feel. Corey Schooneman.
Too new to rate, but better than Matthew Kessel.
4 games. I can't rate a 4-game guy. I liked him, but yeah.
I have him as an incomplete, but I said if I had to give him gun to the head a rating, I'd give him a B+ because I did like his game a lot. I think if he's still with the team next year, I could see him actually getting a long look as a 7th defenseman in training camp because they loved him. They loved him down in Springfield too.
Yeah, he was so positive on the puck. Right?
Yeah. Ryan Suter.
B-. He was the guy that thought, like I said this already, I thought this is the guy that I was going to hate on this roster. But my God, 39 years old, and he's putting in so many minutes every night and not being the worst guy every night. That's impressive. I thought, he brought some like just the wisdom of his years showed, and without him, this team cracks mid-season. I think.
You talk about he could go into one of the biggest surprises this season for me, just because I remember the conversations we had. I was like, if he plays, a certain amount of games, I mean, we're in trouble, because I thought he'd be plugged in, every other game or something and getting a lot of rest and gotten, sat for certain games. He played 82 games this season. So it's like he played really well, and I'll give him a B. And I think that's probably compared to how I thought he was going to play and how I thought he was going to be used, completely different than what I think our expectations were of Suter coming into the season. So I'm gonna B.
I got an A- for him. Same reasons as you guys. Thought he played a lot better, played a lot more than I thought. I really seriously thought at the very least he will sit every second of a back-to-back. And that never happened. He played all 82 games. He sat for 2 games in the playoffs, but I still don't fully agree with that decision. I mean, it worked out, but I thought, again, Leddy should have been the guy to sit. But yeah, I loved his game. Excuse me.
He could have been tired. He could have been sore. He could have been
right.
So I don't.
But I will say, there's rumors of him, and we'll talk about this in a minute. But there's rumors of him possibly coming back next season. I would do that only if it was expressed to him, you are slated as the 7th defenseman. You will not play 82 games again. And also I would say there's a chance at some point we're going to send you down to the AHL. You know, at that point you can retire if you want, but there's a good chance you won't be on this roster all season.
Yeah.
I would say, the scenario where I don't, that I want him here is the scenario where Nick Leddy's off the roster.
Yeah. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. I think we count our blessings. We had a pretty darn good year out of him, and I think we move on. I don't think we try and. How many times in the past do we see we just stay with the guy too long, and it's like, oh, he's done.
Again, he's got to go to like Colorado or No, he's already played for Nashville, Winnipeg, so he can continue to play in the Central Division.
Yeah. Well, we'll watch Winnipeg get bowed out tomorrow night, but he would actually be really good there.
Yeah, he might be. Tyler Tucker.
This is the most painful one for me to give, but I'm going to give him a B-. At the end of the season, he definitely deserved to be here much more than Matthew Kessel did. I don't like them playing him on his offside, but for as huge a man as he is, to put up 3 goals and 3 huge goals, right? Every goal that the guy scored was an impactful goal. That Colorado game, holy shit, right? I don't want to like Tyler Tucker, but he was a force for good on this team.
Yeah, and when he was plugged in the lineup in the playoffs, the team they played better in the playoffs in the 3 games he played. So it's like it's a mixed bag with Tucker. I thought he played really well when he first got plugged in, which I was not a fan of him getting time, but he played really well, and then. Yeah, I'm gonna go. B-.
Same reasons you guys, going B, straight B. Goaltenders. We'll start with the starting goalie, Jordan Binnington.
I'm gonna change this because my initial research included some faulty AI-driven statistical analysis. I'm going to give him a B-. Initially, I was going to give him a C. But yeah, the biggest thing for me with Binnington, like, it was a disappointing year. But he was still, money when we needed it down the stretch. I thought that he wasn't the reason why we faltered against Winnipeg. That was the offensive, players having brain cramps and shitting the bed at the wrong time. Overall, his season, like, the biggest thing to me, like, I wanted more from him. I thought he had a big drop off from last year. I was talking to Jeff a little bit about this before the show, but his expected saves above average, or his saves above average, huge swing. Last year he was second with 29 point something. This year he was below. He was negative 1.66 on that front. So his game fell off big time from last year. If he played as competitively as he did in 23-24, this team is, not a wild card team, right? We're not, we're probably in the 2-3 game, which probably gets us Dallas, which sucks. But yeah, I did not overall. I thought he took a significant step backwards this year. Throwing out the 4 nations, because that doesn't matter to the Blues schedule.
See, I'm kind of factoring in playoffs too with this, but I have his goals saved against average, above average, at 0.9. I don't know.
Did you include the entire season, including playoffs? Because mine's, again, my analysis was
no. This is in playoffs. His goals saved above average was a positive as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but anyway, I thought he was not as good as last season, obviously, but I thought he was fine. I didn't have a ton of issues with his play. I mean, he stepped it up in the 4 nations, and then he went on a tear. So, it's a mixed bag with him too, because he had a tale of 2 seasons, kind of, and then playoffs, he was out of his mind. B, straight B for me.
I can't get to the point of saying he was out of his mind in the playoffs. He was good.
Well, I look at it like this. I go back and I try and find a goal that they scored on him. I was like, oh God, he should have had that one. Were there any that Winnipeg scored?
I follow game 1.
Oh, the one where he came from behind the net?
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
He didn't seal down low. Covered it pretty well on that on a couple of shows actually.
How about this? We've got a comment from our friend Mike Burgoyne, proud sponsor of Let's Go Blues Radio. Don't know why, but for some reason,
do we need to rate? Do we need to rate?
Yeah, what was Libor Zabransky's rating this year? I'll give him a straight A just for the name, you know.
B. He's still Vladimir Chebeturkin.
Oh well, who is? Jordan Binnington for me. Don't need to say anything more about him. B- for me. I thought he was okay for most of the season. Obviously, much better after the Four Nations, and good enough to get the series win. I don't want to say good enough. He was great, but like Bill said, that one goal that was bad. That was a backbreaker in Game 1. But yeah, B- for me. Joel Hofer,
straight B. He had a better win percentage. Obviously he was the 1B. He wasn't the starter. But for being used, like, I mean, how many shows did we like, oh, definitely Binnington's gonna get the next start, and it's Hofer, right?
Yeah.
Like, we couldn't figure out the rhyme or reason to who started, but Hofer had a really, really good year for his second year. 31 games played, had a higher save percentage, higher goals against average, higher goals saved above average. And I think we're going to see a lot more of him next year.
I'm going to go B. Same as Bennington. I think his number is a little better in number of categories compared to Bennington. But, he played fewer games by quite a bit. And, I'll give him both Bs.
C+. Thought he was okay. Had some rough games here and there. But, for the most part, played fine. That's just wanted to see a little bit more from him. I thought both goalies took a step back from the last season, but they were tremendous the season before. So, there you go. I like this, Mike Burgoyne. If he can get rid of the first shot jinx, he will push Binner for big game starts. Yeah, there was a couple like first 3 shots that was like, what are you doing?
Wasn't that last year? That wasn't this year, was it?
He wasn't that great with it this year either.
No, okay. He wasn't. Let me ask you guys this question, and we're doing this live, so apologize. Do we want to do maybe an off-season preview show? Because we're going pretty long here. We could do one next week, or we could go ahead and go through off-season stuff now.
I'd say let's. My vote is we wrap and then talk about what could be in a week or 2.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Kurt?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna talk about the Utah logo.
Yes. I was going to bring that up for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
The Utah. So the joke that I've made all year, the Utah Coyotes, no longer going to be applicable. I can't say words right.
I say applicable, but
yeah. So they have rebranded. They are the Utah Mammoth. They officially named the team, and the reasoning for it, and this was an exact quote from the Utah Mammoth. They say more than 10,000 years ago, herds of mammoth claimed Utah as their home, and ever since, the mammoth has embodied strength, momentum, and an earth-shaking presence, qualities that are brought to life by the passion of Utah's hockey fans and that mirror the franchise's bold emergence into the NHL.
And because the Utah Yetis would have been sued by the Yeti Cooler Company.
Yes, unfortunately. As an alternative to Yeti, I do like Mammoth. I think it's a cool name. My only thing is, and maybe it's the THS at the end, I don't like it just being Mammoth. I think it should be the Mammoths. But
that's not proper, though, right?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Is it?
I don't think so. But I don't know. Can we wrap this up? Because I need to go take a mammoth.
all I want to say about this is that I hate the logo. I hate it. I thought it was okay at first. After that, I'm like, the more I looked at it, I hated it. And I shared with you guys that concept, that M. Oh, beautiful. I thought it was brilliant. Simple, great logo. Kids can draw it. Kids can't draw this. It looks like something that was pre-done in Adobe stock logos or something. It looks a lot like the Predators logo, just different colors. I don't know. No, thank you. It's the same. All these logos nowadays, they have the same style, the same fucking look, and it's getting old. It's like someone's doing the same logo for all these teams.
I do like the meme that I saw that was like, we are just one character away in the NHL from having the trio from Ice Age. You got the Predators, you got the Mammoth, and now you need the Sloths.
Yes.
Bill has given me that look. I think we should wrap.
Yeah.
No, I think the Atlanta expansion team will be the Sloths.
They're going to go back there the third time, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Which is,
by the way, I just want to point that out. It is Mammoths. That is the plural. So, but I get it. The THS is a weird sound at the end, but to me, like,
then they shouldn't have gone with Mammoth.
Yeah. It's odd. Mike Burgoyne, I did like his comment here. It looks like an EA Sports Create a Team logo. Yeah, I agree with that.
It's got that look that everybody's got this logo look. It's just like, I don't know. It's they should have won Yeti and just taken the lawsuit or just fought it. That'd have been, I would have liked that.
I would have bought a jersey no matter what the design. I have a Sasquatch Yeti thing, and I totally would have bought that. I am not going to buy jersey about a large extinct elephant with tusks or with fangs.
I would if it had that M logo I shared. And I like that a lot.
The other thing that this is making me realize is I actually really appreciate the Kraken jersey and logo.
Yeah. Did you guys talk about the Blues logo?
We mentioned it. We can.
I mean, it is. I don't know. It's like a mix, a hybrid, right, between the current logo and the original.
Until it's announced, or like a production leak happens, like the verifiable production leak. I don't want to waste words on it.
I know, but do you know what annoys me? If this is, it's like this tells me that they're not. If they're doing a New Jersey color, they're not going with the Winter Classic colors.
Right. No, so to me that's not new. Like I could go grab my my hat that I got from the Paul Correa era, the when we started over in Sweden. It has that logo. So I think this is just something that's recycled.
Maybe. But there's an awful lot of rumors going around that they're going to do a jersey refresh. So
I hope not. Like I told Bill before or actually it might have been during the show. I'm okay with this being like I guess at this point it'd be a fourth jersey, something that shows that. But if it's a brand refresh, we don't need it. I like our current jerseys. I like our Winter Classic. The third jersey we have. I don't think we need a brand refresh.
Remember the contest, the poll online with the jerseys, the two that won. Some people think that they're going to use that information and rebrand that way.
Well,
I hope not, because that's the Arch logo coming back. So the idea is that take this logo and then use the Arch jerseys colors. So that's the rumor that some folks are going with.
Well,
I hope they don't touch it at all, or they go Winter Classic, baby blues and white. That'd be great. I'd do that.
Bless you.
Excuse me. I couldn't get to the mute button.
Yeah, I'm ready to wrap if you guys are.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll do either next week or the week after. We'll do a like an off-season kind of preview show and talk about a lot of the things that came out of the press conference, as well as free agents, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we went kind of along with player grades. So we will go ahead and wrap. Thanks to our amazing sponsor, StrikeWithMike.com. That'll wrap up episode 33 of season 14 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. We'll talk with you next week. We all will, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Somebody will. For Bill Day and Kirk Price, I'm Jeff Ponder, and this was Let's Go Blues Radio. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Fuck the Jets. Let's go Blues.
Hey, I don't know that I'm going to be able to go to sleep because it is a nothing game to overtime.
Yep.
Elimination game for Vegas.
Yep.
Let's go Blues.
Yeah.
I guess.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Sport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available.
A look at fourth.
I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to number one. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues. The Blues are on the ice tonight again. Rough and tough and got the stuff to win. They'll always get one more, no matter what the score. They are quite a hockey team, my friend.